Welcome to another episode of Health, Wellbeing Lifestyle, where professionals in their fields come on to our show and educate the community, inspire them to live healthier lives, feel more balanced and live a lifestyle they love. Today our first guest is Helen Mack, and she's here to talk to us about optimising outcomes, and she is an optimising outcomes coach, so it's perfect. Helen, what made you come up with that idea?
Thanks for asking that, Linda. My background is in psychology initially, and I did a lot of work in corporate organisations and organisations of a variety of sizes, working on how do we get good outcomes from people and from individuals. My passion is actually optimism, and that attitude is what drives all of my work. But optimising outcomes is more outcome focused. So it takes the concept of optimism, which is an attitude or an approach, and it gives people some ways to approach their lives, their businesses, their relationships, their communities, to get better outcomes for themselves and for others. And it was driven from many moons ago when I was young. My mouth turned down when I was at rest. So I always looked a little bit unhappy. And so lots of people would sort of say to me, "Are you okay, Helen?" I'm like, "Fine." What I learned to do was tell my face. Have you ever met someone like that who is perfectly happy but they forget to tell their face? So I learned to smile, and I learned to teach myself how to have a happier approach. But happiness is temporary. Optimism and optimising outcomes is more grounded and more long-lasting. So I've now done a lot of research into the power of optimism and why that's an important part of the puzzle for people to get better results, whether that be in their health, in their lifestyle, in their business, whatever part of their life that they want to make changes. And there's really, in more recent times, I've developed a 3-step process for taking you from what am I going to do to what's the best possible outcome. How can I optimise this situation, or how can I maximise this opportunity? And that's, we have to go from thinking that something's not possible to moving to asking what's possible, and then moving through making choices to create best possible outcomes. So it's really a journey of inside yourself. And regardless of whether you're trying to make better choices about some part of your lifestyle, whether you're trying to boost your business results, or whether you're wanting your community to have a better outcome, if we take these 3 steps, we can all end up with better results.
Well, what happens with our brains? You talked about the not possible aspect. What happens with our brains when we say something's not possible?
Well, this is the really tricky part, of course, because as soon as we say something's not possible, our brain agrees with us and basically kind of closes down. So it says, oh, if you think this is not possible, then I'm not going to look for anything to help you with that. It literally goes on a holiday. It says, well, I'm done. This is not possible for you. I'm out. And so the challenge of that for us in whatever our goals are is that we're closing off opportunities. So one of the key pieces of optimising outcomes is creating opportunities. So let me give you an example from my personal life. Why is this so important to me at the moment? About 6 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with a terminal, incurable, only partly treatable condition. Very rare blood disease. My husband was always very special, and so he had a very special disease as well. So what that did was created a whole lot of not possibles. One of the not possibles was that our happy ever after was gone. We were going to live forever, die in our 90s, skiing off the edge of a black run, having heart attacks, tumbling down to the bottom of the ski run. All of our happy ever after was gone. We were faced with a heap of not possibles, things that were not possible for him to do or not possible for us to do. But if we stayed in that place, we would not have been able to move forward. Instead, we asked ourselves, what's possible? So that then sent us down arms of doing research. What's possible in terms of treatment? What's possible? Who's the best doctor? What's possible for him in terms of his activity, his abilities? What can he do? Not what can't he do? And so that what possible question was critical to the process. It also meant that we had conversations about what might be possible for me going forward, because we knew that there was no happy ever after. He wasn't going to be here forever anymore. What was possible for me going forward? And so that opened things up.
And I suppose when you talk about that, what's possible, it's not only the thinking, it's the whole language and the communication you're having with everybody else.
With everyone in your world. And so regardless of what kind of relationship you're in or what your goals are, asking what's possible allows people in to help you. So you get better support if you say to people, here's what I'm trying to do, what's possible in terms of how you could reach out and help me. And so we had great support all the way through Lachlan's illness, and sadly, well, we lost that battle 3 years ago. But it meant that we had all kinds of conversations about how I would go forward. And I was in a community where people would come to me and say, how can I help? And what they were asking really was, what's possible for me to do to help you on this journey? So the what's possible piece just opens us up to possibility and to opportunity, which is just a beautiful place to operate from.
So how do we get the best possible results for our viewers out there who might be thinking, oh, well, I don't understand this, not possible?
Yeah. So once we've gone to what's possible, the lovely part about that is that we can then develop a range of options. We can look at what's possible in terms of time, resources, people available to support, money, where you live, all of those sorts of things allow us to gather options. And then we simply use a variety of prioritising techniques. One of the simplest ones is to, if you've got a long list of things and you're trying to choose, just look at 2 of them, choose which one you like best, and then just add 1 more in. People often look at a long list, oh my God, what am I going to do first? Just look at them in pairs, and by doing that, you'll be able to quickly decide which is the best possible for you right now. So best possible doesn't mean best possible forever. Best possible doesn't mean the only thing you're going to do. It's simply, what's the best use of my time and resources right now? And by having that approach, we will make better choices for ourselves and be able to consciously move forward into this idea of optimising the outcomes in your life, in your business, in your world.
Oh, thank you, Helen. And this is the first in a series of interviews with Helen. The next time she'll be back with Creating Clarity. And for more information on Helen Mack and optimising outcomes, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after break we'll be back with another interesting guest and topic. Welcome back to our program, Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where we seek to educate and inspire the community around quality lifestyle and healthy living. And today we have Con Nichols, property advisor and wellbeing advocate. And it's the second in a series with Con about improving your environment to meet your lifestyle. So today he's talking about maintenance. And over to you, Con.
Thank you. Thank you once again for the opportunity. Great question, Linda. Look, I mean, as we all know, as we said the other series before, you know, there's mum and dad now, the kids have gone, the grandparents already passed on, and, you know, at the age of, you know, like late 50s, early 60s, it's, what we found out that, for example, when it comes to the maintenance topic, is that a lot of people trying to do their own maintenance. And it's very risky and costly because it can be very, very dangerous. Now, imagine now, someone middle-aged man or late middle-aged man is trying to get a ladder to go on top of that roof, to climb the guttering, and next thing you know, it's down the floor. Once again, this is only one little aspect of maintenance that you can save money from, because if you downgrade or downsize the property, you don't have as much maintenance to worry about. Another one very important, of course, is when you're a big house, you've got 8, 10, 12 outlets of either ducted heating or air conditioning, which have got to be serviced and maintenance. Now, all those little things add up to the end cost, where if you've got a smaller property, you don't have as much outlay on maintenance. And another very important one is, for example, like, in a bigger house, you've got established gardens, and of course they've got to be maintained, you've got to do little lawns and weeding and so on, otherwise they get out of control and it costs you more money to bring it back in control. So when you've got a smaller property, those costs are very much lower than the initial ones.
Yeah, So it has all of these contingencies, like benefits from changing the size of your house. Is that correct?
Definitely. I mean, look, very simple things. I mean, I know you've got now a house that's got 5 bedrooms, your 2 living areas, you know, your kitchens and so on, your bachelor's kitchen, and now even your utilities, even your power you're saving. You know, because at the end of the day, on a smaller property, you don't have as many outlets with powers and so on. That's also another cost to the person out there that is actually trying to save their money, but also saving the money to do something else with their own future as well. Remember, now that you've got the extra cash, you can utilize it to do something else. So every little penny, as we call it, it goes to kitty, which makes you better off later on.
And what I'm thinking too for our viewers, there'd be many people thinking that they've got big outside areas to maintain, all the mowing, and they might want to spend a bit more time doing things that they love to do. Have you found that arising with people?
Definitely, a lot of times that, don't forget, the older we become, the less mobile we are. And don't forget, in this age, time is very valuable. You know, we can't have the time that we used to have 20, 30 years ago. And that's a very big issue these days, because you need to do the things that you want to do with your partner. But another one actually that I found lately that it's probably another big problem as well that a lot of people that they're facing is decluttering. How many times we go to rooms of houses that you've got so many boxes and things and so on that you can hardly use that particular room. It's a waste of space, you know, and at the end of the day, by downgrading, it gets you to declutter the room, to sell the things you don't need, or give them away, depends what you want to do. But at the same token, you get back control of that particular room. However, if you're in downsizing, you don't have to worry about the room anyway, you don't need it. And another one is my favorite. And I know people say, look, when you got a bigger house, you got bigger parties, and you bring your children, it's great. But at the same token also, when you got a smaller property as well, it's easy to control. It's easy to maintain. And you know why, in a sense, it's got more sense of the homely look as well. You know, it feels more warmth. And you know what? And also, you know, those big parties at Easter's and Christmas, you don't have to worry. You go to their house, it's not to your house.
And I suppose there's cleaning to take into consideration
Definitely.
as well.
Look, especially these days here, to get a proper cleaner to do your house, knowing from my own personal experience, you're looking about $220, $240 a week to clean your house. That's money that you don't have to use, because you know, a smaller property, you don't need to outlay as much money as well. So to me, the key points are the small it is. Well, let's rephrase it. The smaller is the new big, if it makes any sense. So, you know, you go into a smaller place because you're more comfortable, you maintain it, you control it, and you live the property. Where in the bigger house, especially double-story houses, you don't even know what's upstairs the last few months since your children got married. So let's be realistic. Utilize the money, utilize your time and space for your own will and your own benefits, and enjoy it. Life's too short to worry about those things.
And Com, what about then the health side of things? What about dust and mould?
Great question. The health is one of the biggest issues, and actually it's very, very risky, because how many people do we know they've got a mouldy bathroom, and next thing you knew, they get an asthma attack, or they get all these infections, and they get sick. But at the same token also, for example, a few weeks ago, we had this massive storm in Melbourne, and everything was all red from the dust and the rain and so on. Now, all the dust gets sucked in by your air conditioners and your vapor systems and so on. Once again, you've got to clean those things. You've got to maintain them. The bigger they are, the more costly they are. And the same token also, when we said before regarding cleaning your house internally, they cost a lot of money.
So Com, what would be your top tip then from, about in that regard about maintenance?
Great question, Linda. I tell you what, the most important tip is find a property that suits your needs. Find a property that can actually maintain your lifestyle and enjoy it as well. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a house or it can be a unit, it can be an apartment. At the end of the day, it's got to fit on your criteria.
Wonderful. Thank you, Con. Thank you. And for more information on Con Nichols, on changing your environment to meet your lifestyle, then please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after the break we'll be back with Mark Carazzo, who will be here today to talk to us about positive emotions. Welcome back. And now we have Mark Carazzo, business consultant and coach, and continuing the series on positive psychology. Today we're talking about positive emotions. And over to Mark. Mark, why is that important? Why are they important?
Well, Linda, they're very important, but before I get into that, I'd just like to give a bit of an outline of the most common positive emotions we deal with every day, and they would be things like serenity, awe, inspiration, curiosity, hope, pride, gratitude, love. They're all the things that we love to hear and we love to want more of. So I suppose the question of why they're important, firstly they make us feel good. Nobody can have enough positive feelings. But what we've learned is that more positive emotions in our life actually dial up the learning centres in our brain. And this really means that we see life from a broader perspective, we can see opportunity, and we can accept what other people are saying. Negative emotions, things like fear, tend to lead us into a very negative form of behaviour like flight, or sadness into withdrawal. But we know now that positive emotions are broadening, and this has been given to us through effective brain imaging science as well as eye tracking science. So you can see that if we want to be the best form of ourselves, we need to try and experience as many positive emotions as possible, and certainly more positive emotions on a regular basis than negative. It also has been shown from a study called the Nun study that positive emotions lead to longevity. About 200 nuns in 1930, upon entering a convent, did a bit of an autobiographical study on what they were hoping to get out of life in the convent. Now, 6 decades later, scientists tried to take that writing to try and anticipate what in that writing could indicate how long those particular nuns would live for. And it wasn't the intelligence evidenced by their writing which showed how that long they would live for. It wasn't where they lived, it was more a question of how many positive emotions, how much happiness was shown in their particular writing. So I think that's very important. Positive emotions lead to longevity. It is also a buffer, a protective resilience against difficult times. And we also know, I think curiously now, is that people that experience positive emotions tend to have a more coherent and smooth heart activity, which is very important.
Oh, okay. And how would you say then, how could people incorporate more positive emotions into their lives?
I think the first thing to do is look at things that we already have in our lives, particularly even the small things, and be grateful for them. So I suggest that people practice regularly gratitude journaling, or practice gratitude in their everyday life, find something to be thankful for. That of itself is a positive emotion. It's gratitude, it's also things like serenity, it brings awe, it brings curiosity. So gratitude is very important. I think the other thing we can do is savour pleasant experiences that we have in our life. We tend to jump from one good thing to the next and forget what we've been through. So it's a concept known as savouring or replaying. Something, for instance, from your past holiday within 6 months, live through how you felt that day, the emotions that you were feeling, the positive sense. You're basically reproducing something for which you've already experienced. So I think that's, you know, 2 clear ways to do it. The other thing I really strongly advocate is meditation. It's a word which is confusing to a lot of people, but just finding something small, normally associated with nature, that you can focus on, calm yourself down, focus on that piece of nature, and try and keep the mind still is a great way, the research says, of bringing positive emotions into our life.
So important. And what about the workplace then?
Well, the workplace is a place where we spend a lot of our time. We spend 8 hours a day there, and yes, it can be a place for positive emotions. When you think about it, pride in your work, you can be inspired by other people, you can be in awe of other people. It's a place where relationships are very important to us, so there's even possibility of love. And when I say love, I don't necessarily mean love in the romantic sense. I mean love in a sense where we have mutual care for people, we share positive emotions with them. So the workplace is very important. The other thing to really note about the workplace is the concept of contagion, which basically really dictates that our moods and emotions are highly transferable to others. So we can pick up positive emotions from others, and importantly, I think we can share and give positive emotions to people that we work with.
Mark, would some positive emotions be more important than others?
It's a very individual question to ask that. I think they're all important. There's two that personally stick out for me. One of them is gratitude. Because we're so ambitious and because we're prone to sort of negativity, I think it's very important to rebalance our life, get into the present moment, is to look at what we've got on a regular basis and be thankful for it. And that unleashes a whole lot of positive emotions in our lives. So for me, gratitude is one. The other one is love. And I'm not saying love in the romantic sense. I'm saying love in moments of mutual care, in sharing of positive emotions with many people during our day and our friends. It's proven to be very important. We're seeing some good evidence showing that love helps us to have smooth, coherent heart patterns, and really is very valuable to our health.
And what about some hints for our viewers? What would be some final hints on experiencing positive emotions?
Well, do something that you love and you enjoy. Go out into nature, I think particularly, and not only experience positive emotions, but tell yourself you're experiencing positive emotions, so that moment is not lost on you, whether you say it outwards or whether you say it inwards. So that would be a key one. I think meditation is very important, as I've said before. And the other thing I think we should realise in this modern world, we tend to all carry mobile phones, and we really have seen them in some cases as a necessary item that accompanies us. It can be used for positive emotions. All of us have photos in there. All of us can create slideshows of our recent holidays. All of us can take a photo of nature. So I'd say there's 3 tips for you.
Thank you so much, Mark. For more information on Mark Corazzo, then please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, talking about positive psychology. And for now, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you back here next week.